Good morning and happy Friday. We are so excited to speak with you today. Welcome to the autopsy of her healing, evolving resiliency. I'm Iris Owens, and on the line with me is my beautiful sister and co-host. Good morning, honey bunny.
Good morning, honey bunny. Stephanie Deani Green. Good
How
morning,
are you?
everyone.
How are you today?
I'm great. I am
Good,
great.
good,
Cannot complain.
good. I can see
I
you're
woke up
great
this
because you
morning.
have that beautiful smile going on, and you're wearing
Well, so do
your
you.
wearing your beautiful autumn fall colors. Looking all peachy and everything. So it is so good to see you.
Thank you, honey. I'm like starting to wear. I wear the colors to match my hair.
Oh, well, you've done a good job. You're working it out very well.
Thank you. You're looking fabulous as always. I
Thank
like how
you.
you have your new background. That looks nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know
Thank
you
you.
said you were
Thank you.
looking for it. That looks good.
I
Yes.
I was looking for it, and then actually when I put it up, it was backwards, and I was like, So then I had to play with it to get it to mirror. So here we are. So me,
Nice.
I'm always changing up something. So we'll
I
see.
know. I know we get bored
Yeah,
easily.
absolutely,
I know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Change is
so
the spice of life, though.
absolutely,
I,
absolutely.
I
So it's
can't
funny.
imagine.
It's funny that you said so we get bored. So today we're gonna jump right in, and our topic today is expectations, right? And I think we've had a conversation before about expectations, but we're coming at it this time from a different perspective. And so, expectations. Do we expect too much? But we always should expect the best. So, do you
Absolutely.
agree or disagree? Or where do you sit there? Where do you lie there? But that's what we're going to discuss today. So, Steph, jump in. Tell me why this was on your mind today.
Because it's like you when you find, and you know me, I am like, I have realized that I am a person that is always excited. It's always new to me, whatever it may be. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Right.
So I'm so excited. You have all these expectations, but with it, even with dealing with business, dealing with other people, and the reality is that your ex, you can only have expectations like for yourself when you really
Mm,
think about it, because you cannot control other people or other things or other situations.
correct.
And when you put your expectations on other people, you will always be disappointed because you are looking for them to fulfill something and make the expectation so great. The expectation should always be great for you.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? And so what
Absolutely.
happens is that when you have the expectations that are great for you and you always feel that way, and then you're vibrating at a higher level, then you will attract the same kind of people. But when
Mm-hmm.
you come in and say into a situation, oh, I expect all this from this person, these people, your children,
Right.
whomever, and then when you don't get it, then you're like, oh, I didn't get you. All your expectations are let down. But that's not how it should work. You should already have expectations for yourself. And then your vibrations are high, and then somebody matches them,
Right.
the situation. So that's what, and we need to really focus like the whole thing within relationships from that movie, Jerry Maguire, You Complete Me. Like nobody completes you. I
Right.
mean, well, at the time when the movie came, you thought about it, I was like, oh, but no, it's not. That's not reality.
Right.
You have to complete yourself.
Right.
You really complete yourself with God. And so I think once we take those expectations of other people off the table, we're able to grow into our own expectations of ourselves. And we
Mm-hmm.
should, desire the best and want the best and have the best. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with that.
Right.
I think that we have gotten to the point so much just because so many, you expect so much, and then when you don't get it, then you just start settling. And you see people every day, and I recognize it. You see it in their eyes that they just settled for life. It's like,
Mm,
oh, huh, I'm just here. They
right.
have no zeal for life.
Right.
They have no zeal for living, and
Right.
it's sad when you really
Right.
see it. It's really really sad. It's like, wow, how did you just give up on life like that? and you have, but it's all those things. Because what we expect, and definitely what we think our life is going to be like, it does change, but change, you go with the flow and you keep expecting those situations and you make them better, but you don't give up on them. Maybe you have to, like, jump through some hurdles, and make it through, but you always got to keep moving forward.
Well, it's interesting you would say that. I had a conversation with a very dear friend this week, with regards to relationship, their marriage specifically.
Mhm.
And this person has been married for at least what, 25 years, 20 plus years, let's say 20 plus years. And it was interesting because I've known this person for a very long time.
Mhm.
And we have both been, I was married, they were married, and we have
Mhm.
over the years shared our frustrations or lack of fulfillment of expectations, in our yeah, lack of fulfillment of expectations from our significant others, over the years of, being friends. um but we were talking and I was listening, and I've always been listening, because this person was very, I always, and I told them, so this is not something I, didn't say to them. I told them, I said, you have put all these things, these expectations of this person in your life upon them, upon their head, on their to-do list, on their task list, on their you ought to be, you should have done, you better do lists, right? However, did you meet their task list, their to-do list, your better do list, their expectation list?
Mhm.
And so the person was saying, they said, I've stayed all these years because of our children. And I
Mhm.
said, okay. I said, and so then they were saying, I'm trying to prepare them now for what's about to come.
Mhm.
I said, so first, let me ask the question. Does your partner know what's about to come? And no, I think they have an idea, but I think they're not accepting it. Well, kind of difficult to accept something I don't know is happening.
Anything about. I mean, really.
So we started there, accepting. I need to have knowledge to be able to accept something. I need to have something to, what am I accepting? Right.
Right. To base it off.
It's like signing a blank contract. It says sign your name here, but I don't know what I'm signing to. So how do you expect me to make a decision about that? And so we continued talking, and I said, you know, you two have been together for years. Like, you started out as really two, because their words were, we both started out as two blank slates. Not true.
Ooh.
Not true. Because
But
one
think about
year,
how powerful that comment is. They say that, even though it's
yes,
not true.
it's not
That's not
true.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
They said, we
Yeah.
both started out as two blank slates. And I said,
Mm.
that's not true, because just my knowledge of you, I know that you had previous life experiences that your partner had not.
Mm.
So you really did not start out as two blank slates.
Yeah.
And so then they continued talking, and they were just, and I said, you know what? I have listened to you for years. And I said, I don't even know your partner, but I've always been an advocate for your partner. And I said, you know why? Because if I had to live with you and the way you speak about your partner and how you communicate, that you talk to your partner, I will always be an advocate for your partner.
Wow.
Because the way you talk about them, the way you react with them, the way you interact or lack of interaction with them has been damaging. And I said,
Mm.
I don't even know if you realize that you don't even know what trauma your partner came into yours relationship with.
Really?
Do you
Wow.
even know it? Did you ever take the time out to ask? And so then their response back was, and this is about expectation. Their response was, well, I've always done this and I've always done this and I've shown them this. And so I don't understand why I don't get that back. Expectations. And I said, that person was probably never this person that you have been expecting them to become, because they were not that person.
Exactly.
But yet you have stayed with this person all these years, and you say you stayed for the sake of the children. You know me, I asked a deep question. What
Yes,
do
you
you
do.
think you have taught your children about relationship? What have you taught your children to expect from another human being that they are in relationship with? Because of the example that you and your partner have shown them. And the thing that blew my mind, that they've been saying this all these years, they said, you know, I've stayed because of the children. And now I'm trying to prepare them and get them ready, you know, for what's about to happen. I said, you really believe that your children don't know?
That's what he's saying. Children know everything.
I was like, you believe your children don't know?
And that's what I was thinking. It's just like I was thinking. They absolutely know.
So
they
they
said,
like,
well, when is the charade gonna be over?
yes. I've been saying this for the last few years. I said, I guarantee you, when you say whatever you think it is you're gonna say to your kids about whatever you think they think is going on, your kids are gonna be like, it's about damn time. Or they'll be like, we already knew that. We was wondering what was taking y'all so long, right?
My son said to me, he said, that's the longest divorce I ever heard of. When y'all getting a divorce again?
Right. so, you know, because when they started the conversation, they were very, very stern, and they said, I am very unhappy, and I've been very unhappy for a long time. I said, wait, your spouse is just as unhappy, if not more, as you are.
And not to mention, he's not responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your happiness.
And so then the person said, you know, they said, I asked the question as to whether or not they were happy. And they said, yeah, I'm happy. I said, see, there we go again, that the other person, your partner, is going to say, yes, I'm happy. Because there again, your partner relies on you, and is obviously, even if they are not happy, they are comfortable and have settled into this thing of what you call your marriage.
So like the partner, I mean, for lack of a better word, I don't know, he doesn't have like a backbone, it sounds like. So it's like he just follows her, like, why, you know. So if she says it's green, even though it's purple, he's gonna say it's green.
Right.
Like,
right.
So
the person who is so frustrated is the one who was always saying, I need them to do more. I need them to excel more. I need them to reach for higher goals. I need them to do this, and I need them to do that. And I said, that's not the person you're married to. Exactly. And the funny thing about it, you've been married all this time and you still have learned nothing about your partner. Nothing. Because what you want, again, your expectations does not change who they are.
No. And I mean, let me tell you, the reality is, if you could get into a relationship with a man and he allows that whole domination thing, then that's not that person, his whole personality. I'm just listening. I don't know who they are. But when you're saying that, because he says he's happy because she, like whatever she says, he doesn't have a mind of his own, but she
Right.
chose a man like that so she can control him. And now she hates the fact that she can control him, at the same time. You know what I
Well,
mean? It's
isn't
like
that
an
funny?
oxymoron.
Isn't that funny how that works? Because the very same thing, and here's the other thing I shared with them. I said, listen, you know what? I've known you for a very long time and I've listened. I listen very well, you know.
Yes,
And I
you
said, I recall some things that you shared of how your relationship began. And I said, I will tell you that your relationship did not begin on a strong foundation as it stood or what it stood on. And I said, and then as the years went on, you all never really loved each other. And you never fell in love. And the person said, I know I never did.
The dominating person said that.
Yes. Or the person who to believe themselves to be the dominating person.
Right.
Right. And so they started rattling off, I've done this and I've done that, and I've done this and I paid for this and I did this and I did that. And I said, and you think that makes it? Because for years I've been saying, why are you still taking family vacations? Because you're not real, you're not that unit.
Gotcha.
You're not that unit. And then when you would take it, you brought all this extended family, and then when they didn't show gratitude and appreciation for, then you again were frustrated. But what you're missing is that those are your expectations
Exactly.
of other people.
Exactly.
And you constantly keep setting yourself up for disappointment.
Exactly.
Because if I took you on vacation once and you showed your behind, you best believe you will never, ever, 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 like Taylor Swift said, never, ever, 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 ever again.
Never, ever,
right. Again, right. You would never have that opportunity with me again.
No, you get one time,
right? And so, but you did these things because you had these great expectations of yourself, right? That you then expected or you put on to the people in your lives. And when they didn't measure, you were always left holding your bag of disappointment. But you've never taken the time out to look at you, turn that mirror around, put it up here, and start talking to yourself about yourself, because it starts with you.
I'm talking about the man in the mirror. You got to change your ways. But it's true words never been spoken by Michael Jackson. I don't know. He didn't write the song. But it's so true, because we want to always, it's reflection. You know what I'm saying? You want to reflect all that onto another person. But the same like we just said, like you have to have the expectations for yourself. Now what people want to do is create these little minions in your mind. In your mind.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to create this family for myself. And my husband's going to do this. And my kid's going to do that. My dog's going to do this. You cannot control anybody or anything.
Absolutely,
you can't control that brand new baby that you just push out your body. Let's be clear, okay? We want to say, well, I can control. You cannot.
No, you can't.
It doesn't work like that.
We can't even control ourselves at times.
Hello, let's be clear. We cannot. So you have to be very, very careful when you start setting up these things with these people in place, like you on a chessboard. I'm gonna move this person here. I'm gonna move this person there.
Right.
We're not pawns in your game.
We're not.
You know what I mean? So either we're all playing the same game and we know we're playing, or we don't play at all, because that's not what it's about. You have to have those things for yourself. And see, the thing is, You really don't have, if you had those things for yourself, you would have it in your mate. Because it's not the person that you attract that says a lot about you, it's the person that you end up taking up with. Okay, that's what it is. It's the person that you end up taking up with. The one that you style, I have like 10 suitors, I chose him.
Right.
That tells you who you are.
Right. Or I chose her.
Okay. Or chose her, whichever way. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then what tells you who you are also is like, oh, I chose this person.
Yes.
That's not the right person. I need to move on from this situation.
Right. And that right there is where we get stuck. And why do we get stuck? Because again, it's my expectations, and I'm waiting for you to fall in line. And so then when it doesn't fall in line, what do you do? It's like being a scientist. Okay, scientists spend years and months
developing things.
Right, perfecting things, but
the perfect formula.
Right, continuing to find out. They may blow up stuff. They may destroy years of work because something didn't go right, but they continue. I say all that to say, remember, people are not that. We are not formulas. You can't add a little bit of this and add a little bit of that exactly. And stir a little bit of this and sprinkle some of this. And then you'd be like, poof, oh, that's what I wanted. I got just exactly what I wanted.
But you know, it came through my mind. We talk about that. We like, remember that little saying when we were young, little girls are sugar and spice and everything nice.
Nice, yes. Yes. No.
Exactly.
No.
No, we're not. You know
we're not.
No. You know, but what happens is too, like I know a couple also like to me, I don't think they need to be married anymore. But why are they? Things, children are grown, but now that's what happens too. People get stuck with things. Trying to hold on to certain situations for things will have you in your grave. Grave are going crazy.
What
you know what I'm saying? Because
it's those things.
Yeah, exactly. But my mother told me for as long as I could remember, she said, nothing's more better for you than a peace of mind. She said, I'd rather live in a box and have a peace of mind to be unhappy in a relationship with somebody.
What did Luther say? A house is not a home.
Oh, no. Because I walked in many houses. They were huge, big, whatever. And there was no love. Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Amen,
there was
sister. Amen.
I mean, there was no love in that house.
Yeah.
There was no, I was happy, like, I was happy to be out of my house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Didn't look back, can't even remember much about that house because it was just, 5 months after I moved there, everything started and still stayed in that house 11 years. Yes. And just like, miserable.
Right.
Didn't look back, didn't miss it in that aspect. But, it's like, but people hold on for all that stuff. Oh, the car. I'm gonna get his pension. I'm gonna get her pension. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this. People focus on all the wrong things.
What's the biggest one? Pride. Yeah. I'm not about to be people not going to talk about me that I got divorced. You see all those other people over there getting divorced. Oh God, no, that's never going to happen.
No, I guess I just missed that one because I could care less. I could really care less.
Right.
But people
because we get hung up on that thing.
Well, what other people think.
Yes.
And the thing was the reality of it is that people aren't really thinking what you thinking they think anyway.
No, better yet, they don't care.
They really don't. They really don't care.
They don't even care.
You know Wait a minute. How does that saying go? 80% don't care, and 20% is glad as you. They don't care. You know what I mean? They can really care less. It's like a blip.
They don't care. They do not.
I mean, you have though, and when the people that are caring too much and don't know really nothing about you, then they got some issues. Okay, because that is living vicariously through you, which. Yes. Now we live in a time where people do that. Either they know the people or they see the people on TV thinking they know the people. You know what I mean? Living vicariously through them.
Yes.
But it's like people don't care. But you have to do what's best
for
for
you
you, for your mental state,
and
for your children.
yourself and your children. And
That's right.
so here's always going to be my PSA, my public service announcement. When you have children, right? Remember, your children are not you.
Exactly.
They are, we love to say, oh, they are small reflections of us. Da, 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 da. I heard someone say, and it was actually not someone, it was what's his real name? The Jaleel White, who played Urkel. And Jaleel White said about his daughter, he says that I want her to be a better version of me, right? That I pour into her, to teach her, to love her, to be there for her, to give her opportunities, but to be a better version of herself from me helping her get there. And I thought that was great because
a better version of herself. Absolutely.
Yeah, a better version of herself.
Yeah.
While he is guiding, loving, and helping her.
That's
because
right.
Our children are not us.
They're not.
And though we have all these expectations and hopes and dreams for them, sometimes the dream is deferred. Sometimes the dream never happens. Sometimes our children do not amount to the thing that we picture them of being. And that doesn't mean, and I'm not talking about that on a negative. No, I'm talking about the simple fact of you thinking, oh, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer. And your child says, no, I'm going to be a teacher. Better yet, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go and do my own thing. I'm going to discover my own talents and do this, that, and the other. What we do as human beings is that the expectations that you're not meeting, then what do? We don't encourage, then we start tearing it down. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. How do you think you're going to eat? Where do you think you're going to live doing that? We don't even understand that every human being has the right to make a decision about what they want their life to be. The part we don't handle is that we can't accept that. And yes, sometimes we see it. We see someone hitting that brick wall. You're driving that car and we see the wall ahead. And we want to jump in front of the car and stop it. And hopefully that you won't hit that brick wall. But that's not life. We all, in every life, some rain must fall. And it will fall. There will be thunderstorms. There will be storms on the ocean.
I guess I'm doing song lyrics today. Like New Edition said, we all love the sunshine, but can you stand the rain?
The rain, yes.
That's it. That's what it comes down to always. And personally, I love the rain. You know what I'm saying? The rain is beautiful. But it's like, it's so, so, so true. We are vessels and we bring these human beings into the world.
Right.
They may look like us. They may not look like us. They may have some of our ways. They may not have some of our ways.
Yes.
It doesn't matter because in the end, they have their ways. When I was pregnant with both my children, and I used to talk to them when they were inside of me. And only thing I would say to my children, I would say, be happy. Because I knew that if you were happy, that when you start hitting these brick walls and going through different trials and tribulations, you will come out of those things a lot quicker when you're happy, when you have that internal happiness. And the other thing I used to say to them is like, I used to pray that I would like them because you're going to love your children,
right?
Because they do come from you.
Right.
But are you going to like your children?
No, there are times that you will not. As there are times that they will not like.
How many times you may not like them too?
Oh, yes. But like them as a human, yes. I
exactly.
agree with you because I tell my son all the time, even if you were not my son, I would still love you. I tell RJ that all the time.
And that's how I feel about they have these personalities. I love them. You know what I mean? I like them. We have I love hanging out with them. We have a good time. You know what I'm saying? And it's a nice feeling, because I know parents who don't like their children.
Absolutely.
They love them, but they don't like them.
And children who don't like their parents.
And children who don't like their parents. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But I think that to be able to be parents and to allow your children to be what they want to be, is a great thing. It's not always easy because, like you said, we want to stop them from hitting that brick wall.
Right.
But you have to let them, like, and I would tell my kids all the time, I said, you guys are blessed. You're able to go and do what you want to do. Like, no, like, I don't think we ever talked about, they never talked about being a lawyer, and we never talked to them about being a lawyer. You know what I mean? Anything like that. It was funny, with more so with both of us being like entrepreneurs, like thought they would want
Right.
their own, which they don't want that either. It's funny, me and their father was having a conversation, and I was saying, like, they're going to be good workers for somebody else because they're workers like that. I mean,
Yes.
maybe later on down the line, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because I can tell you that my mom always had her own business.
Yes.
That's how I grew up.
Right.
And she always pushed me for my own business, but at the same time, she was very upset that I went to school, with fashion design. She was like, "Oh, you need to go for business. You need to do
Right.
this, whatever." And decide not to pay my tuition. She paid my tuition for one semester. After that, I
Yes.
was on my own. But
Yes.
I was like, "Well, but you've been trying to push me into entrepreneurship with my fashion design, but here, it just didn't support me in that aspect, which really weird.
Well,
And in the
again,
end,
it was the expectation. I
exactly,
wanted you to do it, but I wanted you to do it the way
my way,
I think you should do it, and right,
um,
her way,
my way,
right? Because in her mind, even though she was an entrepreneur, right, she knew the struggles of being an entrepreneur. So it's funny you would say that, because Rhonda went to school with a young lady whose family was, I think they're from Korea, and they own the local Chinese restaurant in our city. And so when they graduated, I remember one night we got a delivery, and the father came to deliver the food, and he asked how Rhonda was doing, and Rhonda came to the door, and he told Rhonda, he says, "I want you to make sure you go to school and you get your education and you do what you need to do." He says, "Because this side, being an entrepreneur," he says, "I work hard and I work all the time, and I'm missing my family, and so even though he appeared to have successfully, he sent his daughter to college, to NYU, and and she's working on her, she's now in medical school, and so he has great kids. But from his perspective, his expectations for his own life were obviously deferred, even though we're looking at it going, "Dude, you're a successful business owner," and he didn't see it that way. So his expectations for his daughter were that, "No, you go the other way. You don't do this path I took. You go this other way." And so maybe that's what your mom saw for you. Like, because it was so hard, so much is sacrificed. And though she survived, she did it, but maybe she thought if you go the other way, it would be easier for you. So
yeah, I think, but part of that, but then she's like, "Oh, I saw a little store down there for rent. Maybe you think about opening up a boutique." She would come back with this too. But this is interesting. But I want to piggyback on what you were saying about, the Korean family. Like, would I have some friends, and what they do, they push them being to doctors. You know what I mean? I have some friends really rebelling against that. Quite a
yes,
few actually.
yes, yes,
They feel like being a doctor is everything, or being in that medical field.
yes,
They're very much about that. Now they're very much about the tech field also.
yes,
But it's like I find people that are very, very unhappy, and they want to, leave that
yes,
profession. I
yes.
never forget, years ago, there was a family, they lived in Chicago, they were on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And the father was a doctor. The mother, was his receptionist, took care of everything, and all three of the children were doctors.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest daughter, she was a doctor, but that wasn't her passion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they came on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she was able to share her passion. And her passion was, she was an underground DJ.
Ah.
Yeah, it was a Black family. And because the mother didn't know what the daughter was going to say, but you could see that this mother had this dream for her children. And it was like, wow, you know what I mean? That it was everything to her. And I often thought about that. She was like, but what was their dream for themselves?
It
You
didn't
know,
matter.
exactly. And that's scary. I never feel my cousin, he plays in the Lion King, and he plays like 3 or 4 instruments in the Lion King. And when he found out that Savannah played the jazz bass,
Uh-huh.
he was like, "Oh, she could come, like, come play with me, sit in the pit." And she got opportunity to do the Lion King with him
Mm-hmm.
in the pit, to like sit in the pit. And he was like, because he was looking for somebody, to cultivate, to like, sit in his chair and
Yes.
all this. He wanted to teach her the Lion King. She was 14. And I took her there and I came back, picked her up. I said, "So what do you think?" "I don't like it."
You're right.
"Oh, I don't want to do that," and all this stuff. And in the meantime, one of the ladies, she does all the dancers on Broadway. This black woman, she walks up and she starts talking to us. He said, "Well, here she's because now you want to dance because she was dancing at the time. You need to talk to her." And a lady said to her, she said, "Well, a musician's life is a lot longer than a dancer's life, you know." So I never forget. Her father called me and said, "How did everything go?" He was all excited.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "She would like it." He screamed so loud, I had to pull the phone from my ear. Like, oh my God. And I was like saying to him, I said, "Look," I said, "I would not push her into something like this
Right.
because that's where all that toxicity comes from, cancer, all these things, all these. So many doctors that are drug addicts and alcoholics. They just know how to clean their blood. You see them doing all sorts of things. I know a whole bunch of doctors, because of unhappiness of it all. They're
Right.
they're trying to soothe themselves through different things, and they have access to drugs, so that's how they soothe themselves. And it's like crazy. You don't want that. And and she did a class and she did a play, did music for one of her classes last year. But that's not really her thing. She
Right.
played it for 9 years. She enjoyed it when she was in high school, but that wasn't her thing.
Right.
You can't make her do that.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, one of my colleagues, her father pushed her, and she said she's glad he did that." I'm like, "Well, that's your colleague. We're not doing
Right.
that to our
Right.
daughter."
Right.
You know,
And think
you have
about
to
the fact that at 14, I don't know what I want to do.
wait a minute, wait a minute. You
And of
don't know what you
course,
want to
as
do at
parents,
40 sometimes.
right. And as parents, yeah, definitely we're here to guide and to mold and to help shape and to try to cultivate who you are, what your interests are, the only one thing I ask of my children, I would always say, okay, do you want to try this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Now, my only thing was once you signed up and said yes, you
That's
had to
completely.
finish.
Uh-huh.
You have
Exactly.
to finish. So if
That's
that
right.
means it's 1 year, you have to complete the year. After the year is over and you've done it and you
Mhm.
said, okay, I tried it. It's not my thing. I'm
Mhm.
cool. But what we are
Exactly.
not going to do is start something and then, halfway in or the first week in, I don't like it and I'm going to quit. No.
No.
Now that's
Mm.
the only thing I required, because I do believe you have to give something a try, right?
Mhm.
It's like eating food you don't like. I
Mhm.
know from the time I was a child, I know that I have never liked Brussels sprouts.
Mhm.
I have tried them. People are like, "Oh, try it, it's so good." I've had them baked. I've had them. Well,
Charred. You like everything. Exactly. Oh,
you can have it. I don't like Brussels sprouts,
I
right?
feel that way about calamari.
Oh, and I love calamari, right?
Yeah, it's all
So
chewy and yummy.
and so then I felt the same way about asparagus. But someone had made asparagus, but they had the really thin, like the it was like a little branch. It
Yeah, I
was
know the one you're
real
talking about.
thick. And I tried them and they had been based in olive oil and seasoned and put into the oven. They were absolutely delicious.
Yeah,
But
I love asparagus. I make them all the
things
time.
in our lives changes, right? Our
Yeah,
expectations change, our likes,
exactly.
our taste buds change. I remember when my daughter discovered that, my youngest, "Mommy, did you know that your taste buds change every 2 weeks?" Lord, I wish she had never read that. because from that point on, she drove me nuts. Like I would buy stuff, you know, you go to the store, you buy it in bulk, and then 2 weeks, 4 weeks later, oh yeah, mommy, my taste buds changed. I don't like that anymore. Girl, I'm going to strangle you. Like, what am I supposed to do with all of this? Because I don't eat this, I don't drink this. So where's it? What's supposed to happen with it, right?
Exactly.
But it's the same thing in relationship. Our expectations, and the thing is, I wanted to touch on is that, funny enough, though, the expectations that we set for ourselves, that even that you have to go back sometimes and retweak the expectations.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I mean,
so,
look at it. Like we've been friends for 26 years,
yes,
right?
yes,
Almost 27 years.
yes.
Look at how much our lives have changed since we've known each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we were full grown women.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, and it's like I do say, I'm like last night I came home and it was just, oh, I was like, I said, how did I get here? I was like, I came with God, you know what I'm saying? And it's and it's a good feeling, but it was a lot of, and it's still more to come. It was a lot of
Yes.
curves and twists.
Oh,
It was no
yes.
straight line. I feel I make S's all through my life. My name starts with an S. It's all curves, but it's just like you have to, like, when you think this is what it's gonna be,
Yes.
and it's not, then
Yes.
you have to write another script, for yourself, and you don't write
Absolutely.
it, you just kind of write a little bit because you don't want to put all the definites in there because
Mm-hmm.
you got to make room for God to do his work in there for you.
What?
That's right. People like that, and
The
that's
great,
like probably
the
kind of
great
sounds like
corrector.
exactly. It sounds like kind of with your friend you were talking about. She got, we drive, we stop at this stop sign, and then two more stop. Like she got every single detail in there, and didn't give any room for God to work. Because like we said, it's true. We make plans, but God makes alterations
Right.
all the time.
All the time.
Even when the day you leave your house, it's like you think you're going right there, and you got to make a stop or something or whatever, And so.
Right.
It's okay. That's the thing too. It has to be okay. If you like a family friend of ours, we used to be family friend. She decided to change her life. She's like 35, 36. And she had a 12-year-old son. And, she was divorced. She was like, look, she's her son to live with her husband. And she was like an executive secretary. Like back then they used to have executive secretaries. And she said she always wanted to be a nurse. And she gave up her apartment and everything, and she went to nursing school.
Amen.
And it changed her life. Her mother was all upset. Oh my God, you doing that for now? But you have to follow your dreams. They may come later because of other things that came before that, but it doesn't mean that you don't follow them.
Right.
You can still follow them and keep making a way for yourself. And that's what you want to show your children. You may have 20 different careers before you leave this earth.
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
And that teaches you life is not stagnant. And I think
it's not.
That's
it can be stagnant if you let it be, but it's not.
Well, yes, but I'm saying it's not designed to be stagnant.
Exactly.
So that's the thing about when your expectations are not met. And it doesn't mean that, what I'm saying is that it doesn't mean that every time something's not going your way, you up and quit. That's
no.
So please be clear. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
What I'm saying is, though, right, it's about examining. Again, what we always talk about is the autopsy is an autopsy is what gets to the root cause of a death.
And that's what you have to examine it. Exactly. That's right.
And so you have to take time out in your life to examine those things that you feel are not going in the direction in which you want it to go, or you need it to go. And then you have to examine who you're with, who you're walking this life with. Sometimes you got to stop the bus and say to some people, hey, thanks, but this is your stop.
I know that's right.
And they may go, what? I'm sorry. Yes, I know, but this is your stop. You have to.
It's the hardest thing for people to do, but the thing is, I think also what people do, they take people for granted.
Oh, every
And
day, every second.
that's a big thing
Oh,
with,
yes.
especially with loving relationships, even with your
Yes.
children. You know, just because somebody's here and they love you and they do for you,
Yes.
don't mean it means for you to take advantage of them or take them for
Yes.
granted. That is the
Absolutely.
worst thing in the world. And you see people do it
Absolutely.
all the time. And
Absolutely.
eventually, those people that are taken for granted, if they had the courage, a lot of those people end up leaving those situations.
That's right.
You know, I know a lady that we knew used to come to the salon, very pretty lady. When I met her, she had had one child, was pregnant with another child. And then she was telling her husband didn't want to have any more children. And she used to be a nurse, and her husband, he was a doctor. And next thing you know, she got pregnant again. And he just was not, he seemed like a very nice man. It had to be patience to be with her because she was something, okay? Let's be real. And literally one day, she came home from church a little early, and the moving van was in front of her house. He was moving out,
Mm.
and he left. And I can tell you, she's like, her life has never really been the same.
Yes.
I mean, she took care of his kids, but she's a smoocher. She smooches off people, and she has taught her children to be the same way. I mean, they're grown
Mm-hmm.
women, a grown young
Mm-hmm.
man now, two girls and a boy. But it's like you can't take somebody for granted like that. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like I would say, like I know when I told my cousin, I thought I would like to have another child,
Right.
and this was prior to knowing I wasn't going to have it because I could see which way the relationship was going. But he was like, I said, but he's wanting more children. And he's like, well, that's not to you. That's my male cousin. Janisha gets pregnant when she wants to get pregnant. You know, he's saying that to me. I said, I would never have a child like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have to be on the same page.
Right. We
You know?
talked about that before. That's very important.
That is very important.
Because again, my expectations for it's just like you plan anything else. You get married, right? You have children. But you have if you have you're planning beyond the children because you're looking at when the children grow up and the children move out and we have the house to ourselves or we can sell the house and we can travel the world. There are expectations in place. And so
Exactly.
when one person decides all of a sudden, oh, I don't want to do that. That's just like someone coming home one day and going, you know what? I quit my job and I joined the band. I'm going on the road with my band. Oh,
And
huh?
people do it every day.
Every
Exactly.
day.
People do it
Every
every day.
day. You
Jacks up
know,
your plans. Sometimes you be like,
right.
"Ooh."
Wait, what? You know, like, did you not even think you needed to come home and at least talk to me first? You know, share with me first? Or because this wasn't something you just made a decision about. This thing has been going
No,
on in
no,
your
no, no.
mind for years, for months, for weeks, right? And you never even bothered to say anything because maybe we could have figured out how we support your dream and yet we still continue on in our lives. We may have to make some changes, but that's taking someone for granted and never even giving them an opportunity to be
A
involved in this
second thought.
major decision that you're making, right? Because your expectations you felt were not being met, or your expectations you thought were have been so delayed or deferred that now you're going to do something about it right here, right now, in this very second. But
I know a family that happened to. You cannot do that. Man came. He was the breadwinner, and he came home one day and said, "Like I quit my job. I'm going back to school to get my master's."
yep,
Like literally, they had to move all these kind of things because
yep,
it like you just what the lifestyle that they had, she could not maintain with on her salary. And
absolutely.
but it was really when I think about it, just as speaking to you about it now, it was probably like more of a setup because in the end, you know, he ends up divorcing her, you know,
Yes,
and he has so much appears like better, you know what I mean? Because now he has makes more money. Now they're divorced, and now he's met a woman because he was always like the type of man that his woman had to make a lot of money too.
mm,
So now he has a woman that has a lot of money. Now he has money. So now he has another life. I mean, they're our age. And I feel, you know, for the mother, I mean, they had children. And like, you know, now her life, you know, she has to share a place with her brother, you know, in order to, you know, maintain and everything like that, you know. So people do all sorts of things and they don't think anything about you.
That's
You know,
good.
don't even consider you in this situation. And you would think that we're married, you've been together all these years. But let me tell you, what people don't realize, and I would say this for men and women because it happened to a male friend of mine, and he had, you know, it took him a long time to settle down. He has a lot going on for himself. Very smart man, you know, he has money, and he finally met the woman that was going to be his wife. They did get married, and he was like, you know, because he had a long-term girlfriend, never married her. Then he was like, "This is my wife." You know, when he brought around, "This is not a girlfriend. This is my wife." And she started hanging out without him with these young girls, a little younger than her, got in her ear. Oh, you could do better. Oh, whatever. And you know, next thing we know, she took a couple of properties and she like left him. You know, and he told me, he said she only got one property left, but now he has moved on with his life, has remarried. You know, so people do also, but he was very, very hurt. He was going through some illness at the time, but that's devastating that people do
Yes.
that to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel even like in my situation, I know people in your ear because what happens when 9 times out of 10 people really don't want to see people happy.
No,
Far few
especially
in
if I'm not
between.
happy.
Especially and misery, and most people are really miserable when you really think about it. So, oh, what can I do? What kind of bugs can I put in your ear to make you think, oh, you know what I mean? You could do this, you could do that, they could do that, you know what I mean? And people fall for it, men and women both. I had another, like my male friend, his wife filed for divorce. And she said how he came home and the papers like on the mantle or something. And he said he just happened to look back there. He said, he's like, are you sure that you want to do this? And she was like, yes, because I can have more and whatever. And in the end, she dragged the divorce out for so many years that when they finally sold the house, he had to come to the table with money, and it's still very, very unhappy, you know, and it's just sad, people do all these things, I don't know. I think that, and it goes back to expectations though, because you feel, okay, for
Yes.
whatever reason that you felt was missing, but
Yes.
now I'm gonna take you for granted and take you to the cleaners and get what you have.
Mhm.
Think I can have a better life with your stuff, or
Right.
because some of these things weren't long-term marriages where they built them together. Like my friend, he had all this stuff before he even married this woman.
Right.
Okay,
And there
and
and
then,
and,
and
and
not
a
to
lot of
mention they
people
never
do
had
that.
any children, huh?
Yeah. I know, so a lot of people do that, and like you said
They do
earlier,
that.
life cannot be built around, or your foundation cannot be stuff.
Exactly.
As to
Now
what,
that's the truth.
and I do think as adults there are times in our lives where we have to come to a reality check of,
Check,
if
check,
you if
check.
you are really not, if you are not happy, right? The happiness is not necessarily the person. The unhappiness starts within you. You are unsatisfied with yourself. That's where it starts, because you feel that your expectations, your needs, your dreams, your visions, whatever that is, have not been or are not being met. And so when that happens, it's only fair that you say that to the person that you share space with, right? It's not fair that you just continue going on, and then so now you completely treat me differently. Where you used to love to come home and sit with me and talk with me, or go shop with me, or do whatever it is that we did
Mhm, mhm.
when we started this relationship, all of a sudden now you have a disdain for me, right? you
Exactly.
you you don't want to be in the house, or you don't want to be in the same space I'm in, or the same space I and our
Or
children
breathe the
are
same
in.
air.
Right, or
Exactly.
breathe the same air, because what do you tell me? I need some air. Well, what's wrong with the air in this
Uh,
space? Right, is the air in this space so bad? But yes, it is to them, because they can't breathe in that space, right? And
because
sometimes that's what,
familiarity breeds contempt. I don't, but
yes,
it's true.
yes.
It's really true.
So if I'm not happy, and I'm not happy with myself, I
Mhm.
have to find some place to put some of that blame, because
Exactly.
I'm never going to accept it initially that it's
Mhm.
me.
It's
But
you. If it
it's
wasn't for
you.
you, I would have
Right.
this, this, and this.
Yes, right. If it
You got
wasn't
those
for you
kids, I would
and
have
these
this, this, and
kids,
this.
I would be okay.
Exactly. Well, why did I have these kids? I could have had a couple of Porsches in my driveway. I could have. I could own 5 houses. First of all, you can't.
And maybe you could have,
Maybe you could have, but first of all,
but
you
it
can't
is,
take none of that stuff with you.
you can't. But it's very discerning, because that's the conversation I've been having with the person I was talking about earlier, was that all these years they've done these things. Like they left their job and started a business, and so you affected your family, and their spouse stayed in a traditional job situation, and yet they're always going, you haven't made any movements in life. Well, they probably was like, listen, since you want to be leaping, right. Since you want to be leaping off of bridges, somebody got to be on the top to tell the story. But people never look at it that way. All they're looking at is that you never moved. Like you said, it probably was like, you doing enough movement for me, you, and 2 more marriages the way you carrying on, right?
But never to think to say, honey, it's because of you that I'm able to go out and live my dream and take the chances that I take.
That's it. That's it. Being totally ignoring that this person, whether good or bad, made major sacrifices, and you haven't even asked what dreams were deferred for them.
Exactly.
Right? And I've heard people, I've heard men, I've heard women say they don't like to do anything. They don't Again, I'm going to say, when you met that person, was that person this, I'm swinging from the chandeliers, I want to travel around the world, when you ask that person, what do you see yourself, or where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And that person said, I want to be married, I want to have kids, and I want to have a beautiful house. Okay, so you got married, you had kids, you've had 2, 3 beautiful houses. They're done. There wasn't a memo. They're done. Exactly. They told you on the front end what their expectations were, what their visions and their hopes and their dreams were for their life. You
have to listen. Before I met my husband, I was dating this minister, and he said to me, he didn't have a car. Did he have? I don't think he had a car. But he said to me, he he lived in Newark. And he was like, these people, I never forget one day he said to me, these people in these apartments are probably so much happier than all those people where you live in Teaneck, in those beautiful houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, perhaps I don't live on everybody's house in Teaneck. He said, right. I can only imagine. I just want to live in one of these apartments, have a great life. Well, that was my exit, because I know that for me,
my expectations were much higher than that.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I would always say, like, I like Franks and beans, but they don't really go that well with champagne. I like champagne too.
What you say, girl? Let me tell you, Franks and beans caviar.
No. But it's a little salty for me with caviar, but I get, what it is, it's the same. Right. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
And it's if that's where someone lives, then they live there.
That's all they want. Like, they want to, you know what I mean?
Right. You have to listen. And you cannot believe, like, what did we say earlier? You don't control anything or anybody. Sometimes not even your doggone self. Exactly. So what makes you believe that all of a sudden you're going to come in and you're going to change someone? And don't get me wrong. Now, there are times that we impact, and that's what we live for.
We absolutely do each other's lives.
We impact someone else's lives, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all the time.
We do that. And we prayerfully do it more positively than we do negatively. You know what I always say? I tell people, what type of person do you want to be? When you walk into the room, do you want the room to light up, or do you want the room to light up? I want the room to light up, baby.
Exactly.
Then I'm going to take all the air out of it.
Uh-huh.
and then I'm gonna breathe some back into it. Refreshing.
Yep.
That's what I want. And
Exactly.
so this is how you have to decide for yourself what it is that you want. But as your needs change, as your visions change, as your desires change, if you are spending your life with someone, you have to let them in on what's going on. You just can't walk in the door one day and go, or better yet, the folks who don't even walk in the door. The folks who wait for you to go to work, come back, house empty.
Exactly, like they're right. They hear the house empty.
Empty. I have seen that in my lifetime, and I was just like, I was floored. Like, people do that to one another. Like, that blew my mind. But people do it. But
all the time.
That's sort of thing.
I was left in an empty house. Just me.
Yes. Yes, you were alone.
Everything was for me. So yes.
But look what God has done.
Oh my God. What hasn't he done?
Through you, right?
Exactly. You know, for sure. But you know, now you have to, like me dating now. And I had a conversation with, a couple of guys, and just like, you and I are on the same page. We like nice things, and there's nothing wrong with liking nice things. For some reason, I would not own that. Like, okay, I have it, but I don't need to talk about it. And I even I would feel uncomfortable about it. I don't know why. Because I guess then people have a sense. Already, people have a sense. Then you bring up some of these things. Right. Then they put, say, I knew that, Right. But at the same now, being 57, and I'm like, so we were talking about high fashion. And I was trying to explain to them about high fashion, and I said, well, high fashion is valuable. I said, those things, high fashion, I said, they become worth more. They become worth more as they get older. I said, you can always sell them, resell them. They hold their value. That's what it's about. I don't understand why I paid $2,000 for a purse. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so, but you listen. So now I'm thinking like, so if I chose this person, and when I decide to spend however much money I would choose to spend on a purse, you're going to be in my ear cracking about that. You know what I mean? Because people tell you who they are, and then that's gonna be like whether I chose to or not. But I don't need to have your ear. And then I was saying to this other person, I said, I really like a very nice house. I like to decorate, and I'm always changing, all this kind of stuff. Well, I just need a house. I just need a bed. I just like the Bob's furniture.
I'm not touching that. I am not touching that because you that's a sore spot for.
I know. But and let me tell you, it made me think about you. And I was like, okay, so now nice guys, but like we're on two different spectrums. You already told me who you are, what I mean? And but it's like, no. Yeah. Because it's like that. We're like really, really different. And then for me, I don't think it's like something, okay, when you, especially you should always show up as the same, like you should get better as that person, but we always meet the representatives. But if I say to you, so what do you want to watch? Like one of my favorite things are old black and white movies. And you scan all the way through everything else, not one black and white movie. You're like, oh, okay. Even if they're trying to woo you, you know what I'm saying, for whatever, like they would be like, oh, let me find out like which ones are good, let me check it out what you're talking about, you know what I mean? I do think those you should be the same on the other foot, you know what I mean? I really like going to football games, and they are good, but in the rain and all this kind of things, we're not going, but if you said, oh, I want you to go to a football game, I'm gonna go, because that's what you like. It's the same thing, you know what I mean? Because it's like the whole thing about when you're gonna give your man or your woman a party, and they like quiet. You have to maybe they don't want a party. Maybe their quiet is just you and them out to dinner together. Right. But because you give that what they want. So if you want to give what you want. Exactly. And that's how we
Right.
got it twisted. I like to party. So you give me party, don't give me a little quiet dinner when it's come,
Right.
for my celebration. But they want to give you what they want you to have
Right.
instead of what you want. And that becomes a problem in a
Right.
lot of relationships, and it's nothing good about that. So
No.
needless to say, I guess I'm not really dating anybody right now. Because at the same time, and then I realized this is what's it called? It's probably cupping season. What is like? It's like now because now the winter is coming.
Oh
Everybody's
yes, girl. And listen, it's cupping season plus all the major holidays. You have Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's and Valentine's Day. So yeah, because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is where people start either breaking up or start having
Everybody,
conversations about. So what are we doing now? What are we doing here? Are we really? Are we a
and
couple?
I'm gonna have a fabulous Thanksgiving. I'm gonna have a fabulous Christmas. I'm gonna have a fabulous New Year's. I'm gonna have a
Absolutely,
fabulous Valentine's Day, and
absolutely,
I'm gonna have all those fabulous days in between too.
absolutely. Because that
Yes,
is
yes.
what we do.
Hey, that is what we
Absolutely.
do. And you know what? I realized too that, like, I can honestly tell you, I was feeling a little overwhelmed. And I just think that when it's the right person, I won't feel overwhelmed. I
Yes.
would feel like, because it would kind of like fit.
Right.
You could build on something that fits. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah.
it.
So
Well,
it's,
it's
it's
just like
interesting.
when I show someone when I'm showing buyers homes, and they
Uh-huh.
say, "Well, this," and I said, "Let me just say this to you. This is the measuring stick. Is that when you find your home, you will know it because the
Yep.
home invites you in. It should
Mhm.
invite you in. Like when you walk in, you should feel it. You should smell it. You should be like, oh, yeah. And you're not just envisioning furniture and you're envisioning life. You're
Mhm.
envisioning
Mhm.
memories and holidays and family and children growing and children. That's when that's your house.
It's true. I
And
know
it's
when
the
I was
same
just,
thing with people.
I saw my niece a house back in July, and we started looking at April 1st, her birthday. Her birthday's on April 1st. And we, like at that time, like you couldn't even find, there was no inventory for houses.
Yes. Yes.
And
Are we not
so
aware?
exactly, my girlfriend, she's a realtor also here in New Jersey, and she had a house coming on the market. I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, look, I said, if they want the house, how much are people looking for it? And we could just, close the deal if they like it. She was like, bam, we could do that.
Nice.
So she was, yeah, because I'm like, because if we could give them the price, and let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
the first day that house hit the market, the owners were already done because people kept coming in and out of the house. They were already like, oh my God, it's a lot because they still lived at the property.
Yes.
And I took them to see it. They was like, oh man, we could do this. They was excited. And I'm like, I really like the house. And it was like, yes. And it was a Friday. And I was like, they like the house. We want to do the contract. I was like, okay. And I had to get to the salon, one thing to the next. Long story short, I did it, whatever. And my niece calls me up and says, Auntie, I don't want that house. When I tell you, I was feeling, I don't see myself. I got it. But this is what I said to you prior to us sitting down, doing the contract, submitting the contract, whatever. And not to mention, these people were ready to take the contract, accept the contract. So maybe you want to look up in Pennsylvania again. Okay, I'm out. Because you told me about Pennsylvania. I said to you, if you come to New Jersey, I will help. But if you want to go out to Pennsylvania, you can't waste my time. You know. So then her husband called me, Auntie, we not wasting. We're serious. We want to buy something. Da, 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 da. I found 5 houses one day. I took them to the houses. One house they did like, but the owner came home while we were still there. She said, we have a contract on the house already, but they're still showing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept telling myself, I found your house that whole day, found your house, found your house. By the time we got to the last house, it was like kind of dark. And so you really couldn't see it good. I had lights, but it's not the same to see it in
Right.
daylight. And I said, this is your house. My niece was like, oh my God, this is a house. But it was a little bit more than what they wanted to spend.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, for some reason, the mortgage guy told them, oh, offer what, 390? No, offer four. I think the house was 480, but offer 490 and ask for them give you back $10,000 in closing fee. I said, in this market?
Right.
Yeah, are you bugging? And I was
Right.
like, they were so adamant with him because he's the money guy, you
Right.
know. So the guy was like, well, somebody just offered me 490, and I don't even have to give them back nothing. But needless to say, and we were on the call, we were doing the show, and she was blowing my phone up, and I was like, I was waiting for you to finish, and she's like, I had a dream. That's my house. That's my house. I don't care what it takes. That's my house. Well, he already got an offer in, but he ended up. I was like, what you want to do? Well, we ended up selling like at $499. They got their house. She's had backyard. We've been there for like the
Amen.
housewarming. She did the house up so nice. She has the watch the movies. She has a screen in the backyard to watch the movies outside. So it is true. When it's yours, it's yours. And I knew that was their house, but I
Yes.
didn't even see it. I said, I found you a perfect house, perfect location. And I think the other house was a little too country for them. It's only
Yeah.
like 15 minutes away, but it's like country. They're coming from Irvington, Newark area. They need a little bit more urban, not too
Yes.
much, not too country, like right in the middle. So I put them in Plainfield on Woodland Avenue. You know that area.
But you see, but you heard what you said. I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the story. You did all that you did, and you were upset with them because they came back and said, we don't want to move forward. That's exactly what happens in relationships. That people either will not share for fear of that, right? Or the other party is now upset and says, well, why didn't you say something? Not appreciating the fact that I am saying something. I'm saying it now because something has changed for me. Something has switched for me. Something has flipped for me. And I'm sharing that with you. And yet your response back to me is, I'm not meeting your expectation. So back to where we started, expectations can be, the great equalizer, or they can be a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we all have them.
Oh yes, we do. Yes, we do.
But
I know
sometimes
that.
it's about how we're going to handle it and how we're going to address it. And if we're going to address it, and once we address it, yes, how we handle it. So that's really important.
It is important. And it's how you say things to people, because there's so many different ways you can say things. Some people want to say things just to really hurt your feelings and cut you
Yes.
down.
Yes.
Like, like to keep you underfoot, like, for their own ego. That's really what it's about. And that's the worst. I know for me, it wasn't to stay in a situation for my kids, but it was for me to maintain what is it looking for? Like a consistency for whatever I did with them.
Yes.
Not in you know what I'm saying? Because as I could see that this was a changed thing, but all of it really changed because if I didn't have this family, I could do so much more. That's what it came down to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, I see, I hear you on that one. You know what I mean? But we're not going to do this to these children.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. And the more you over here doing all this, I got to be right here focusing on them.
Right.
So they could be good and knowing they're secure because you were able to build because I was there and made sure they were secure. Yeah. You have to worry about whatever time you came home. It was never a regular time.
Right.
Because you could do all the things that you wanted to do. And and doing things like I'm working, but never really was working either. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta go work. I gotta go work. I gotta go work. Yeah, funny thing he said to me all the time. So, what are you doing this weekend? I used to always think that was so odd for a husband to ask a wife that because it just said to you like, I'm not spending my weekend with you.
You're right. Right. So just in case your expectations were. let me give you so I gave you clarity on that part. I just didn't give you clarity on the other stuff.
Exactly.
The other
It's like,
expectations I had no clarity on, but that, because why? It was my expectations, and I was going to make sure that they were fulfilled as I desired them to be. Oh my God. This has been like, you see how that flips? You are listening. I hope that you all have picked up all these little pearls of kind of knowledge that we have shared today, because it, it is, as you all know, I always say, let me talk out loud so I can hear myself.
I can hear myself think. But what I want to just add one thing. It's like, now I would say I have this vision, expectation, I guess,
Yes.
that someone just like, yeah, like, I don't know what we're gonna do tonight, but we're
Right.
gonna do something. And that's a
Nice.
good feeling. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like, all day, I'm gonna roll up, let's, run to the movies, go out to dinner. But you just know
Right.
that you're gonna create something together. And that's my vision.
Well, you know what? A friend of mine told me, she says, Iris, you are not a dater. She says, you've been married, and so you never really dated. So I don't have expectations of dating, because I don't know really what that is. I've only started to date now. And
Me and you both. Basically, me and you both.
Right, because we've always been committed
Yeah,
married
exactly.
in relationship.
Exactly.
For whatever reason, we are the marrying type. I'm just saying, we just,
Yeah.
but we've never been the dating type, right? Where we're like, oh, we're just gonna hang out and do what? That's us. We have expectations even on the dating side. What does that mean? What does hanging out look like for you? Please, expound on that, and then I'll decide if that's something I want to do, right?
That's right.
So it's interesting, but we are, all of us, right? Your expectations will change throughout life many times, several times. And be mindful of that. It is when we get stuck in the expectations that we had or that we came with, and we've never addressed the fact that, okay, even if your expectations are not being met, at some point in time, you have to share that the expectations are not being met, because then you need to hear from the other person's perspective. Well, what are your expectations? And maybe you're not meeting their expectations either. And then maybe the two of you can come together and realize maybe some of these expectations can either be taken out, thrown away, right? Because maybe they were false to begin with.
It's true.
Or maybe we're requiring things of ourselves. Yes, of ourselves first, because we got to start with ourselves.
Yes,
that is not reality. Or what have we achieved? What expectations have we met? Because that's a good place to start. What have we met? Right? Then let's start looking at that long list of expectations and seeing what of these things can either be tweaked, completely removed, because this is not, there are some things in your expectation list ain't gonna happen.
Well, that's the truth now.
They ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's true.
They ain't gonna happen. I wanted to be a model. So I wanted to be a runway model. It is never gonna happen. Have I modeled in my life? Absolutely. But will I ever be in Fashion Week in New York? Absolutely not. Why? Because there are certain things about me that do not fit that expectation. Ta-da!
I don't do that. Yes.
The reality of something is you have to look at the reality of something and then figure out, is this a legit expectation? It's just like in your life or in your business or in your job where you're asked to make your business plan or make your goals. What do they tell you? Make real goals, measurable goals, goals that are attainable. And then you also give yourself something that's going to give you a reason to have to reach and stretch, but it still needs to be obtainable. And sometimes our expectations are completely off the table from the jump. You
It's
know,
true.
that's like my son one time said, Mommy, he came home and said, Mommy, I want basketball sneakers. And I said, why? Because everybody else has basketball sneakers, Mommy. I want basketball sneakers. Now you got to know my son. My son is nowhere athletic. That is not his thing. Now, as he got older, he loved playing football, and he's very athletic. He has a athlete's body. You know, he loves to run. He can play football. He's a boarder. He loves to ride his board. I mean, to the point where sometimes I'm like, please don't hurt yourself, right? But he is very athletic. But at the time that my son said, I want basketball sneakers, because in my son's mind, obviously my son believed that if I had these basketball sneakers, that's all of a sudden going to make me a better basketball player. Whereas at that point, my son did not know how to play basketball and was not good at it. And he knew that. Now, I, being his mother, who lives in reality as much as she can, I told my son, I said, come on, let's go outside. I said, get your ball. So we go outside, we shoot some hoops, we have fun, And so at the end, I said to my son, I said, so how was that? He says, Mommy, that was fun. I had so much fun. You know, that was really great. I said, well, great. I said, so how do your shoes feel? He said, they're good. I said, great. It's because those are your basketball sneakers. It's not the thing that comes with the label. It's the label that you put on the thing.
It's true. It's so true.
That's where we get lost.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not the thing that comes with the label. It's the label we put on the thing. It's the expectation we put on the thing, and the hope and the thing. You know, we put so much into a thing or a person. This is how we get disappointed.
That's so true.
How our dreams end up being deferred, because
That's
we're not willing to go back and look at it and say, maybe this part needs to come out, or maybe I need to put D before A and move A down, right? Maybe I got to go back and completely reconstruct E.
Yeah.
Right? But then I walk away with another plan. It's like making goals, like I said. Every year, every 6 months, every day, you got to look at your goals.
You got to rewrite the script.
Bam. There you go.
You got to rewrite the script.
Because you're the author. You can go back and you can take some stuff out and say, no, I don't like the way that.
That's right.
So
you have to do that. You know, you have to, and that's like part of that, within dating, people like these guys will say things to me, and I said, I know who I am.
Right.
And let me tell you something. When you know who you are, that puts you far ahead of the game.
Yes, it does.
I mean, because you have to know who you are, know what you will. You have to have your standards for yourself. Absolutely. And know who you are, because people are always going to try to change them for their benefit, and it's like, I know who I am, because when you start changing your standards, that's when you do find that you are so disappointed in your life. Like, I changed for you. You should not change for anybody but yourself.
Right.
You cannot be changing for people, for human beings, because they're not perfect.
They're fickle.
Human beings. Very fickle, very fickle. Oh my God, the next young thing coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, like, really? Here we go.
The next young, the next new, the next more expensive, the next big fatter pockets, the next more educated, change of address, change of location, whatever it is. It just don't look right.
Exactly.
It don't smell right, and I don't like the taste.
That's right. It's so true. It changes. But I was listening to one of my blogs last night, and they were talking about, this girl, she's all upset because now the guy she was going to marry, he now has dumped her. She already has a baby. But it was like, well, when she met him, he was married with children.
Oh, wow.
So what goes around does come around. You know what I mean? But he said he's
Mhm.
a cheater. And so the guy said, you cannot take a man whore and turn him into a house husband. I was
Ow.
like, ouch.
Ow.
True,
If you can't
true, true,
say
true.
amen, say ouch.
I know that's right. Because it's like, I was like, hey, he hit
The
the
nail
nail
on
on
the
the head
head.
with that one.
Yes, he
And it's
did.
true. Because either which way it goes, people are always trying to change people into something they're not, you
Correct.
know. Yeah, it can't work
Yeah.
like that. So it's
Well,
interesting.
well, Steph, that was an awesome, awesome choice of topic today. I
It
learned
really,
so
really
much
was.
today. I learned so much today. And we hope that you all learned so much today. Like I said, we hope that you always walk away with some nuggets, share, listen in, tell people about our podcast, share with us. Let us know what topics you would love to hear, because we'd love to, be able to address some of those. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I really would love to hear, some topics that you all would be interested in talking about. And we'd love to have you too as a guest. So if you're interested and you're not afraid to come on, and you're not a pearl clutcher, we welcome you. We welcome you.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I'm gonna change that. We will take the pearl clutcher too, because we'd be
That's
interested
right.
in
That's
knowing
right.
how the
Uh-huh.
pearl clutcher would interact with the non-pearl clutchers over here.
Exactly.
So we want to say thank you all so much for joining us today. It has been just awesome talking with you all and sharing with you all today. And so, as always, we'd like to remind you all that Stephanie and I are both life coaches. And so we would love the opportunity to share with you if that is something that you have a need in your life, to have a life coach. I can be reached at I do love coaching at gmail.com. Of course, you can reach out to me on Spotify, and of course also on our YouTube channel. And then Steph can be reached.
You can reach me on my mentor.life/Stephanie Deani Green. I'm a style coach and a divorce coach.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we thank you all so much. We hope that you all have a wonderful weekend. Spend some time with yourself, spend some time with your family and your friends, get outdoors, enjoy the fall weather, and take a look at your expectations and see where you may
I
need
know that's
to
right.
be. You all have a blessed day. We love you all. Take care.
Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Bye, honey bunny.
Bye, honey bunny. I love you.
I love you too.
All right.